Hello, Mr. Durbin here. I've got 5 minutes to tell you about why you should take GCSE history next year. So let's get started. Um, if you've got questions about anything we talk about today, send me an email. My email address is there, and I'll put it up at the end of the presentation as well. So, why do you want to study GCSE history? Well, because you want to know the answers to questions about the world. Questions like, what are these two people doing? Why are they whipping themselves? Questions like, what's the connection between a Viking king and your headphones? Questions like, why is Coalpit Heath called Coalpit Heath? We are going to explore all these questions and many, many more important ones in your 2 years of GCSE history. What do we study? We study 5 units. The first unit we look at is the people's health from 1250 to 2020. 1,000 years of history, near enough, looking at how Britain has responded to pandemics, huge illnesses, and the needs of the people in terms of their health. This is so relevant to today in terms of the coronavirus pandemic. What's the historical context for this? How has Britain responded to similar events like this in the past? We look at, for example, the Black Death in 1348, when 50% of the population died, and these two people, and many people like them, whipped themselves to try and show God that they were sorry for their sins so that he wouldn't make them ill too. So if you see somebody whipping themselves walking down your street during lockdown, maybe they've been inspired by these guys. We also look at the Elizabethans. So we look at the reign of Elizabeth I, or the end of the reign of Elizabeth I. We look at things like the Spanish Armada when Britain was under threat of invasion. We look at how Elizabeth ruled the country. We look at the kind of things that people were interested in at this time. We look at Shakespeare. We look at popular entertainment. And we also look at how people from England went to other places around the world, such as India and America, to expand the early British Empire. We look at Viking expansion, going back to starting in the 8th century. We look at how the Vikings lived in their homelands of Scandinavia, how they developed a culture in different parts of the world, such as Britain and France, but also in Russia and America. And we learn about Viking kings, one of which, Harold Bluetooth, was the Viking king who expanded the Viking Empire. He gives his name to Bluetooth headphones. And the reason that Bluetooth has that funny symbol is because that was how he wrote his name. A Swedish company invented Bluetooth and they named it after him. Isn't that nice? We also look at, slightly more depressing, living under Nazi rule. We look at Hitler's rule in Germany. We look at what it was like to be an ordinary German person living under the Nazis. Why did so few people oppose the Nazis? Did people go along with the things they were doing? We learn about the Nazis' treatment of minorities in their country, including the Holocaust, and we look at what it was like to live in Germany during the Second World War. Finally, we do a local history unit where we study a particular site. It's called History Around Us, and we're going to go on a trip to Big Pit, which is a big coal mine in South Wales. We're going to go deep underground, explore what it was like to be a coal miner and how that site has changed over 100 years. We also get to compare this site with similar sites that are near to us. So, for example, Coalpit Heath, I told you we're going to talk about Coalpit Heath, is called Coalpit Heath because there's 3 coal mines around Coalpit Heath. And we're going to compare those coal mines with the coal mines that we go and look at in South Wales. So these are our units. How do you get assessed? Well, all your assessment is at the end of the course. There are 3 exams, 2 1 hour, 45-minute exams on separate days, and then a 1 hour exam where you just do your big pit writing on a separate day as well. So 3 separate exams. That's the only assessment that you do right at the end of the course. And we'll prepare you for that. You'll be really ready to go in and do those exams. Who is going to be preparing you? Who's going to be teaching you? Well, maybe it'll be me, Mr. Durbin, or it'll be my super able colleague, Miss Weech. We've both taught this course for a few years. We know exactly what we're talking about. We're very knowledgeable, trust me, and we will help you every step of the way. If you have enjoyed learning history from us in Key Stage 3, then you're almost definitely going to enjoy learning history from us at Key Stage 4 in Year 10 and Year 11. Finally, what can history help you with in the future? Well, this is a difficult one because there's literally no job in the world that history is not going to help you with. History teaches you to take vast amounts of information and make sense of it. It teaches you to communicate your ideas in writing. It teaches you to argue your point, and it teaches you to put things in context. No employer is not going to value those skills. If you want to be an author or a writer, history is going to help you. If you want to be a healthcare professional, a doctor or a nurse or a midwife, the ability to write down your ideas and communicate them are going to be so important. History will teach you that. If you want to be an educator at a university or a school or even a nursery, history is going to help you. You have to be able to take in large amounts of information and explain it to other people. That's what we do in history all the time. And if you want to be a broadcaster or a journalist or on TV, the ability to argue your point, put forward ideas and back it up with evidence, that's what history is all about. And we can help you with that. Just to say to finish, if you're deciding what GCSEs to do based on what you want to be in the future, maybe don't. Maybe pause and think about, I've got to be in a classroom learning this for 2 years. What do I enjoy the most? What do I enjoy the most? What do I get the most enjoyment out of learning? What am I going to work hardest at over the next 2 years? That's the most important thing. Right, that's my 5 minutes. If you've got questions, email me. There's my email address there. I hope to see as many of you as possible studying history next year.